The pride before the fall. The Grand Council chamber of the Drachnid Hunting Federation hung suspended in high orbit above their homeworld, its crystalline walls reflecting the light of 3 suns. Inside, Kvorth, the most decorated hunter in 7 star systems, stood before his peers, his scaled armor gleaming with the markings of countless successful hunts. "You cannot be serious about this, Kvorth," rumbled High Elder Ixa, her massive form shifting uneasily in her ceremonial perch. "The humans are not prey. They are something else entirely." Kvorth's secondary breathing vents flared with barely contained amusement. In his 3 centuries of hunting across the galaxy, he had heard similar warnings about countless species. The crystalline beings of Rigel 7 had been impossible to track. The shadow dancers of the Neptunian moons had been too elusive to catch. He had mounted trophies from both in his private collection. With all due respect, High Elder, Kvorth's voice carried the confidence of someone who had never failed in a hunt. These humans are merely another species that has benefited from technological advancement. Strip that away, and they are soft, warm-blooded creatures who cannot even survive in space without artificial assistance. A murmur rippled through the assembled hunters. Some nodded in agreement, while others displayed signs of distinct discomfort. Elder Trowel, a hunter nearly as decorated as Kvorth, stepped forward. The deep scars across his carapace seemed to pulse with remembered pain. "I hunted on Earth once," Trowel said quietly. "Just once. Do you know what they call their most dangerous predators? Pets. Their children play with creatures that could tear apart a Drachnid warrior. They keep venomous serpents as companions and train killing machines they call dogs to fetch their morning news tablets." Kvorth waved a clawed appendage dismissively. "Precisely my point. If they can domesticate such creatures, imagine how soft they themselves must be. The reports of their durability are clearly exaggerated." High Elder Ixa leaned forward, her ancient eyes fixing Kvorth with an unblinking stare. "Did you review the incident reports from the Centauri Mining Corporation? 3 human miners survived in a collapsed shaft for 2 weeks. They had no food, minimal water, and were forced to drink their own processed bodily fluids to survive. When rescued, they apologized for worrying their families and returned to work the next day. Determination is not the same as being unhuntable," Kvorth countered. "I have studied their physiology. They lack natural weapons, have no protective outer shell, and their sensory capabilities are laughably limited. They cannot even see in the ultraviolet spectrum." The chamber fell silent as the Federation's chief xenobiologist, Dr. Nex, activated a hollow projection in the center of the chamber. It showed a human skeleton. "Notice, Dr. Nex began, her voice carrying the weight of scientific authority, how their entire skeletal structure is internal. They are literally wrapped in sensory nerve endings. What you call a weakness, Kvorth, is actually an elaborate early warning system. They feel everything, process it, adapt to it. Their bodies can repair themselves from injuries that would require a complete molt from one of us." Kvorth's hunting mandibles clicked in irritation. "All the more reason they should be honored to be hunted by me. I will prove once and for all that humans are not the death world terrors everyone claims them to be. They are prey, like any other." High Elder Ixa rose to her full height, towering over the assembled council. "Very well, Kvorth. Since you cannot be dissuaded, we will officially sanction your hunt. But know this, you will follow the ancient protocols. No mass weapons, no planetary bombardment, no targeting of their young. You will hunt them as our ancestors hunted, with honor and skill alone." Kvorth bowed, his armor plates shifting to display patterns of absolute confidence. "I accept these terms. I will return with proof that humans are nothing more than clever animals, fit to be mounted in our trophy halls." As Kvorth strode from the chamber, Elder Trowel turned to High Elder Ixa. "Should we warn the humans that he's coming?" Ixa's breathing vents rippled with what might have been amusement. "No need. They have a saying that seems appropriate. Pride goes before a fall. Let Kvorth learn why we classified Earth as a death world. Sometimes, the only way to learn respect is to earn it the hard way." In his private chamber aboard his hunting vessel, Kvorth began his preparations. He cleaned his ceremonial hunting blades, checked his stealth systems, and reviewed the pathetically simple human security protocols he would need to bypass. As his ship's AI plotted a course to the Sol system, he recorded his first hunt log. Primary target: human, designation Homo sapiens. Location: Earth, third planet of Sol. Objective: obtain proof of human huntability and return with trophy. Expected difficulty: minimal. Personal note: finally, I will show these overcautious fools that nothing in this galaxy is truly unhuntable. The legend of Kforth will grow even greater after this hunt. The stars streaked past his viewport as his ship entered FTL travel. Kforth had no way of knowing that his hunt log's final entry would read very differently if he survived to write it at all. First contact, last mistake. Kforth's ship touched down in a remote forest clearing outside a small human settlement called Pine Grove, Montana. His initial scans showed a population of barely 3,000 humans, perfect for a test hunt before moving on to more challenging urban environments. At least, that's what he thought. The first warning sign came during his preliminary observation phase. Kforth watched from his camouflaged position as a human female, who couldn't have been more than 1.7 meters tall, casually shoot away a massive brown sign, what humans called a grizzly bear, from her waste disposal units using nothing but loud noises and aggressive posturing. Fascinating, Kforth recorded in his hunt log. They appear to have some limited ability to dominate other predators through sheer audacity. However, this only proves their overconfidence will be their undoing. The second warning sign came at dawn. Kforth observed a group of humans voluntarily running along a mountain trail, their bodies covered in artificial perspiration. His sensors indicated they had been engaging in this pointless activity for over 2 hours. They deliberately exhaust themselves, he noted. Perhaps some form of ritual punishment? This will make them easier to hunt. How wrong he was. Kforth selected his first target, a human male who lived alone at the edge of town. The dwelling was isolated, primitive, constructed primarily of processed tree matter. The human's only apparent defense was a peculiar metal tube mounted above the entrance that emanated a soft red light, something his research identified as a Ring doorbell camera. As night fell, Kforth activated his stealth systems and approached the dwelling. His mandibles clicked in anticipation as he bypassed what he assumed was the main security system, a simple mechanical lock on the door. He entered silently, his specialized padding making his footsteps completely inaudible. The human was sleeping in an upper room. Kforth crept up the stairs, ceremonial blade ready. This would be almost too easy. Then he stepped on something that made a loud squeaking noise. The human bolt upright in bed, already holding what Kforth's sensors identified as a primitive projectile weapon. "That better not be another raccoon," the human called out. "I ain't cleaning up knocked-over trash cans again." Kforth froze, his stealth system rendering him invisible. The human's sensory capabilities shouldn't have been able to detect him. Yet somehow, the creature was looking directly at his position. "Motion sensor lights are on outside, but nothing's showing on the cameras," the human muttered. "Either we got ourselves a ghost or—" The human grinned. "Something interesting." To Kforth's horror, the human reached for a communication device. "Hey, Sheriff. Tom here. Remember that weird interference pattern you asked us to report? Well, I got something mighty peculiar in my house right now. Might want to bring your special equipment." Kforth decided to abandon stealth. He deactivated his camouflage, rising to his full height, expecting the human to cower in terror at the sight of a 3-meter-tall armored predator. The human whistled. "Well, ain't you something? Hold that pose, would you? My kid's doing a project on extraterrestrial life, and nobody's gonna believe this without pictures." This was not how prey was supposed to react. Kforth roared, extending his hunting claws. The human just nodded appreciatively. "Impressive. Say, you wouldn't happen to be the reason Mrs. Henderson's prize-winning roses went missing last week? 'Cause she's been blaming the deer, and I'd love to set the record straight at the next town council meeting." Before Kforth could respond, multiple vehicles with flashing lights surrounded the house. But instead of military forces, it appeared to be local law enforcement. And was that a news van? "Attention, unidentified alien visitor." A voice boomed through what seemed to be a primitive amplification device. "This is Sheriff Laura Martinez. You are currently in violation of Municipal Code 47.3, unauthorized entry of a private residence, and Federal Statute 218, failure to register with Earth's Immigration Services. Please exit the building with your appendages where we can see them. Fourth's translator must have been malfunctioning. They were treating his hunt as a zoning violation? Don't forget the EPA regulations, someone shouted from outside. That stealth field's probably playing havoc with the local bat population. The human, Tom, was now sitting cross-legged on his bed, recording everything on his communication device. This is totally going viral, he said cheerfully. Hey, before you get arrested, mind doing that roar again? The lighting was bad on my first take. Fourth did the only thing a rational apex predator could do in this situation. He jumped through the nearest window. Unfortunately, he landed directly in front of what humans called a bake sale, being set up for the early morning crowd. 3 elderly humans immediately began scolding him about disrupting their setup and demanded he help reorganize their snickerdoodles. Don't you dare run off, one of them called as he fled. You knocked over Mrs. Wilson's prize-winning cookies, young man, or whatever you are. Very rude. As Kforth ran through the streets of Pine Grove, he realized several terrible things. Humans had no concept of appropriate prey response. Their law enforcement was somehow tracking his undetectable stealth field. He was leaving a trail of glitter-like particles from his damaged armor coating. The entire town appeared to be treating this as some form of entertainment. His hunt log update was brief. Tactical retreat in progress. Humans exhibit unprecedented response to apex predator presence. Recommend immediate review of species classification. Additional note: what is a YouTube sensation? And why do they keep calling me one? Back in orbit, safely aboard his ship, Kforth reviewed the planetary information networks. His failed hunt was already trending on something called social media. Humans weren't organizing hunting parties to find him. Instead, they were setting up food trucks near his last known location and arguing about whether he was technically subject to tourism visa requirements. This was going to require a completely different approach, and somehow, he suspected it was only going to get more humiliating from here. The hunter becomes the hunted. Kforth sat in his cloaked ship, mandibles clicking nervously as he watched the human information networks. The viral video of his failed hunt had spawned something worse than anger or fear. It had created what humans called memes. Local Alien 2 sparkly to crime, read one headline. Another showed an edited image of his armored form captioned, "When you try to be scary but end up becoming a TikTok trend." His species-feared hunting cry had been remixed into something called a dance track. But worse was coming. Much worse. This is breaking news from Pine Grove, Montana, a human news broadcaster announced. The Department of Fish and Wildlife has classified our recent extraterrestrial visitor as an invasive species of undetermined origin and has authorized a catch-and-release study program. Leading the research team is Dr. Jennifer Patel, expert in xenobiology and competitive hide-and-seek champion. The camera switched to a human female wearing what appeared to be standard scientific attire, but Kforth's sensors detected multiple layers of advanced technology hidden beneath the simple exterior. Our primary concern, Dr. Patel explained, is the impact of the alien stealth technology on local wildlife. Also, he's dropping what appears to be space glitter everywhere, and that's definitely not great for the ecosystem. We're classifying this as a grade B containment situation. Like that time we had to relocate those fluorescent raccoons from the nuclear research facility, but with more paperwork. Kforth's secondary heart nearly stopped when he saw their tracking methodology. The humans weren't using advanced sensors or satellite networks. They were following his trail using something far more terrifying: hashtags and community engagement. Download our new Spot the Sparkly Spaceman app, another broadcaster announced. Join thousands of citizen scientists in cataloging alien sightings. Premium users get access to our exclusive Glitter Trail map and can participate in our weekly Name the Alien contest. His ship's AI interrupted his horror with an urgent notification. Warning: local atmospheric conditions indicate approaching weather system. Recommend immediate relocation. Kforth ignored the warning. Surely some precipitation couldn't affect his advanced hunting vessel. That was his third major mistake. The storm that rolled in wasn't just rain. It was what locals called a good old-fashioned Montana thunderstorm. Lightning struck his cloaked ship 17 times in 3 minutes. Each hit disrupted his cloaking field for precisely 2.3 seconds, just long enough for every smartphone in a 50-mile radius to get a perfect picture. There he is. The human excitement was palpable even through the storm. Above Old Thompson's cornfield, someone called the UFO Welcome Committee. Kforth was forced to land. His ship's systems needed time to recalibrate, and the human's primitive weather was playing havoc with his navigation. He touched down in what he thought was a secluded forest area. It wasn't. "Welcome to Camp Pinewood," a cheerful sign read. Below it, in freshly painted letters, today's activities: hiking, canoeing, alien spotting, merit badge available. He had landed in the middle of something called a summer camp. "Dude," a young human whispered loudly, "that's definitely worth more points than finding a raccoon in the trash." Kforth fled into the woods, his sophisticated hunting armor now covered in mud, pine needles, and yes, still trailing glitter. But the humans didn't pursue him with weapons or capture devices. Instead, they treated it like some sort of game. "Marco," children's voices called out behind him. "Polo," others answered. "Alien," a third group added, followed by giggles. He ran for hours, but the humans never seemed to tire. They just kept walking, casually, stopping for something called trail mix and taking selfies. Every time he thought he'd lost them, someone would spot his glitter trail and cheerfully update the app. "You know," one ranger said to another as they leisurely followed his increasingly panicked trail, "this is way easier than tracking that escaped circus elephant last summer. At least this one sparkles." Kforth's hunt log, updated between gasps for breath. Day 3 of tactical retreat. Humans appear to have turned my hunt into some form of recreational activity. Their young are especially persistent. They have invented at least 7 new social media dances inspired by my running pattern. Beginning to suspect I have severely miscalculated. The final indignity came when he tried to cross a river to break his trail. He forgot to account for one crucial detail. Humans had invented something called recreational fishing. "Hey, Bill," a fisher called out to his companion. "I think I just caught an alien." "What pound test you using?" 20-pound line. "Lucky I upgraded after that catfish incident last week. Better get a photo for your fishing license renewal. They're never gonna believe this one without documentation." As Kforth dangled from the fishing line, his armor shorting out from water damage, he realized a fundamental truth about humans. They hadn't survived their death world by being the strongest or most aggressive predators. They had survived by turning everything, absolutely everything, into either a bureaucratic process or a form of entertainment. And somehow, that was so much worse. Understanding the prey. The xenobiology research facility wasn't what Kforth expected. For one thing, it had a gift shop. For another, his containment area looked suspiciously like what humans called a studio apartment, complete with streaming services and a small kitchen. "Now then," Dr. Patel said, reviewing her tablet as Kforth sat awkwardly on a reinforced couch, "let's start with the basics. Would you prefer coffee or tea? And do you have any dietary restrictions we should know about?" Kforth stared at her. "I am Kforth, the most feared hunter in 7-star systems. I do not need your beverages." 7 systems? Interesting. She made a note. "But you didn't answer my question about dietary restrictions. Also, we're going to need to do something about the glitter situation. Environmental impact assessment forms are a nightmare." Over the next few weeks, Kforth learned several disturbing things about humans. First, they could turn anything into a research opportunity. His attempt to maintain an intimidating silence was documented as fascinating nonverbal communication patterns. His refusal to eat became a paper on extraterrestrial dietary preferences and protest behaviors. But worse was their inexplicable ability to treat him like some sort of exotic house guest. "Your species' bioluminescent stress response is remarkable," one researcher commented while taking readings. "By the way, Game of Thrones is on tonight if you want to join the watch party." Dr. Rodriguez made nachos. Kforth found himself involuntarily participating in what they called office culture. His threats were met with polite requests to fill out interdimensional grievance forms. His hunting stories became part of the facility's Thursday lunch sharing circle. "So let me get this straight," Dr. Patel said during one session. "Your species considers itself the galaxy's apex predator, but you've never tried pizza?" The humans' casual disregard for their own vulnerability was maddening. They conducted dangerous experiments while making small talk. They handled hazardous materials while discussing their weekend plans. One researcher actually corrected Kforth's hunting blade technique while testing its molecular structure. "You're overextending," Dr. Williams, the facility's security chief, commented. "No wonder you're leaving glitter everywhere. Here, try it more like this." He demonstrated with a plastic ruler. Basic energy conservation. "Also, you're coming to the staff barbecue next week, right? My wife's making her famous potato salad." But the real revelation came during what humans called a power outage. The facility's backup generators failed during a severe storm. In the darkness, Kforth expected panic. Instead, the humans treated it like an impromptu party. "Anyone up for ghost stories?" someone suggested. "Our resident alien hunter can go first." "Should we order pizza?" another voice called. "The usual place delivers in any weather." "Hold on." Dr. Patel's voice cut through the darkness. "Kforth's bioluminescence is increasing. Quick, someone document this. This could be a breakthrough in understanding their stress response mechanisms." "Or," suggested a junior researcher, "we could use him as a lamp and finish that game of Monopoly from lunch." A new kind of hunter. Kforth stood before the Drachnid Hunting Federation once again, but this time was different. His once fearsome armor had been modified with what Dr. Patel called eco-friendly non-shedding coating. He wore what humans called a casual business tie around his neck. Apparently, it made him look more approachable. "Honored Council," he began, activating a PowerPoint presentation, another human invention he'd grown disturbingly fond of. "I return not with a trophy, but with something far more valuable, understanding." High Elder Ixa leaned forward, mandibles twitching with barely concealed amusement. "And what understanding would that be, Kforth? What are they calling you now on their internet?" "The Glitter Guardian," Kforth replied, his secondary breathing vents flaring with what might have been embarrassment. "Though I prefer my official research designation, Cultural Exchange Officer, Sparkle's Division." He brought up his first slide, showing a series of graphs and charts that Dr. Patel had helped him prepare. "Humans are not prey," he announced. "They are something far more dangerous. They are the galaxy's first post-predator species." That's when Kforth realized something profound. Humans weren't just surviving their death world. They were thriving in it by refusing to acknowledge anything as truly threatening. They had transcended the predator-prey relationship by simply deciding it was inconvenient to their social schedule. His research participation log, they insisted he keep one, read, Day 47. Humans continue to display unprecedented behavioral patterns. They have organized what they call a talent show and want me to demonstrate traditional hunting techniques. Dr. Patel suggests incorporating something called jazz hands due to the glitter effect. Beginning to question everything I thought I knew about predator-prey dynamics. The facility's gift shop now sold plush toys of his likeness, complete with glitter dispensers. His hunting cry had become the facility's unofficial ringtone. The cafeteria had named a sparkly dessert after him. But the most unsettling development was that he was starting to enjoy it. "Your cortisol levels have dropped significantly," Dr. Patel noted during one checkup. "And you're showing increased interest in social activities. Also, excellent progress on reducing the glitter shedding. Though personally, I think it added a certain festive quality to the lab." Kforth found himself participating in what they called Casual Friday, offering hunting tips to the facility's pest control team, and worst of all, developing a taste for pizza. His final research log entry for the month read, Hypothesis: Humans may not be conventional prey because they have evolved beyond the traditional concept of predator and prey. Alternative hypothesis: They are all completely insane and their insanity is somehow contagious. Personal note: Movie night is apparently mandatory, and they're showing something called Predator. I suspect this is what humans call irony. A new kind of hunter. Kforth stood before the Drachnid Hunting Federation once again, but this time was different. His once fearsome armor had been modified with what Dr. Patel called eco-friendly non-shedding coating. He wore what humans called a casual business tie around his neck. Apparently, it made him look more approachable. "Honored Council," he began, activating a PowerPoint presentation, another human invention he'd grown disturbingly fond of. "I return not with a trophy, but with something far more valuable, understanding." High Elder Ixa leaned forward, mandibles twitching with barely concealed amusement. "And what understanding would that be, Kforth? What are they calling you now on their internet?" "The Glitter Guardian," Kforth replied, his secondary breathing vents flaring with what might have been embarrassment. "Though I prefer my official research designation, Cultural Exchange Officer, Sparkle's Division." He brought up his first slide, showing a series of graphs and charts that Dr. Patel had helped him prepare. "Humans are not prey," he announced. "They are something far more dangerous. They are the galaxy's first post-predator species." The council chamber erupted in confused clicking and hissing. "Allow me to explain," Kforth continued. "Humans evolved on a death world not by becoming the ultimate predator, but by transcending the very concept of predation. They turned survival into a hobby. They transformed mortal terror into entertainment. They defeated nature not by conquering it, but by bureaucratizing it." He clicked to the next slide, showing a human child petting a creature that could tear apart a drachnid warrior. "They don't avoid dangerous creatures, they give them silly names and make them internet celebrities. They don't fear the unknown, they form research committees to study it and gift shops to profit from it." "But surely," Elder Trowell interrupted, "this is just their technological advancement protecting them from real danger?" Kforth shook his head. "No, respected Elder. Let me show you something truly terrifying." He played a video of humans participating in something called extreme sports. "They do this for fun," someone in the audience asked, their voice quavering. "Fun," Kforth confirmed grimly. "They invented something called insurance to manage the risks, waivers to handle the legal implications, and social media to share their potential demise with others. They turned survival itself into a form of entertainment." He moved to his conclusion slide, which featured a quote from Dr. Patel, "Nature is just spicy physics." "I propose," Kforth announced, "that we reclassify humans not as potential prey, but as a protected species, not for their safety, but for ours. Any attempt to hunt them will result in something far worse than death. It will result in paperwork." The council was silent for a long moment before High Elder Ixa spoke. "And what of you, Kforth? What will you do now?" Kforth straightened his tie. "I have accepted a position as Earth's first interstellar wildlife conservation consultant. Apparently, my unique perspective on cross-species interaction and fabulous glitter aesthetic make me perfect for the role." "They've weaponized your failure," Elder Trowell observed with horror. "No," Kforth corrected, "they've monetized it. I have merchandise now, and a podcast." As Kforth left the chamber, his presentation ended with a final slide showing his new business card, Kforth, turning predator-prey relations into professional development opportunities. Available for motivational speaking and children's parties. Glitter-free venues only. Back on Earth, Dr. Patel was already planning the next phase. Kforth's final entry in his now public blog, followed by millions across Earth, read, "To all future hunters considering humans as prey, don't. They won't run from you. They'll study you, categorize you, and probably invite you to a potluck. And somehow, that's so much worse. Also, subscribe to my newsletter for weekly updates and hunting fashion tips. Use code SPARKLES for 10% off my new book, From Predator to Podcaster, A Journey of Personal Growth." The Drachnid Hunting Federation eventually established new protocols for Earth. Approach with caution. Not because humans are dangerous, though they are, but because they will absolutely turn your hunting attempt into a teaching moment, a research opportunity, and probably a reality TV show. No hunter has ever survived this level of aggressive inclusion with their dignity. And somewhere in Montana, a small town's welcome sign was updated to read, "Home of the annual Alien Appreciation Festival. Come for the glitter trails, stay for Mrs. Wilson's award-winning snickerdoodles. All species welcome. Hunting permits required. Gift shop now open."